In this week's Parsha, Parshat Vayera, we have the famous story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And in the Parsha, we learn that God tells Abraham that he's going to head down to those cities to find out if the outcry of evil that he has been hearing is true. And it's sort of an interesting idea that God would need to head down there to see it with his own eyes. Of course, after all, we assume that God knows all that's going on earth. Now, the Midrash, and Rashi brings this to us as well, the Midrash teaches us that God is actually serving as a model, as a teacher to us, that we shouldn't take secondhand information and use it to make a judgment. This information is specifically for judges, but I think it applies more broadly. In a world that we live in with so much information, some of it solid information and a good deal of it unreliable, it's sort of a reminder to us that we should be careful about our judgment, that we should really withhold judgment until we really know the facts. If God needs to head down to Sodom and Gomorrah to check things out, we should also be careful about making judgments about other people without full information. Maybe even with full information, but certainly when we are basing it on hearsay or rumor or just information that comes second or third hand, even information which seems to be from a reliable source, if we don't really know the information fully, we should be very cautious. Of course, when we withhold judgment, we open up the possibility for basing our decisions on the facts. We also allow ourselves to see the world in a way which is perhaps more humble than rushing to judgment. We see one thing and we judge someone based on this one action that we happen to see without knowing the background, without knowing the context, perhaps without understanding where that action came from. But if you're like me, you may find yourself too often judging people without knowing all of the facts. Better that we should learn, as Abraham did from God, that we should be very cautious about judging people without getting the facts directly. So this is one of many lessons that we find in Parshat Vayera. I hope you'll have an opportunity to read the Parsha and discover even more. Shabbat Shalom.